Good afternoon. I'm Paul Cross, the Chairman of the Historic Zoning Commission. We're pleased to welcome you to this special call meeting of the City of Murfreesboro Historic Zoning Commission to consider one item of business, I believe. Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Chairman Cross. Our only item on the agenda is 315 East Main Street. It's St. Paul's Episcopal Church. And they're requesting to add guardrails and mechanical units to the roof of the addition of the church that's currently being that's going to be built at on the site on the east side of this addition. When plans were submitted to the Building and Codes Department a couple of weeks ago, we looked at the plans, and these mechanical units that I'm going to show you, it's on let's show you up on the board here. Right in here where my cursor is, there's some mechanical units on the east side of the building. We're looking from College Street on to the church, and Juniors is on the side over here. So what we're looking at is the addition of mechanical units up here on the roof and a guardrail that's required because of these units are located where they're located. And let me slide down just a little bit. These are the guardrails that are on the back side, and there's guardrails on the front side, on the east side of the church. So because of the addition of the guardrails to the project, which we didn't get a chance to take a look at when we looked at it last February, these are new items that are being looked at, that are being proposed for the church. I didn't feel comfortable with approving them without having it brought before the commission, so at least you get a chance to take a look at it. You may be okay with it, but I wanted to at least to have a chance for y'all to look at it, because there they are, an addition that we didn't see when we looked at the plans last February. Mr. George is in the audience to answer any questions you may have, and I'll be available also.
Chairman Cross, I need to let you know that I attend this church, therefore I won't be able to enter into the discussion or vote on this.
Okay. Noted. I have a question, Robert. In reading this, I understand that this was approved previously, or most of this plan, and am I to understand that at that point in time the HVAC system on the roof was not contemplated?
Well, I don't know if it was contemplated. It just wasn't shown on the drawings. And Mr. George may be able to answer some of this better than I can, but they weren't shown on the drawings in February, but when they submitted for the building plans to get a permit, that's when they were shown on the drawings. So they are visible. They're going to be visible from East Main Street and East College Street.
One other question I'll direct to you. What city codes would apply to the visibility of a rooftop unit were it not a historic structure?
I don't think there's a city code. We try to screen mechanical units from visibility when we can, when we have new development. But I think it's more of a zoning issue.
Well, I just noticed that every new convenience store that goes up has rooftop units, and they have something to screen them off.
A parapet wall or something like that.
Would we, I mean, is that something that's would not be required on a structure like this?
Well, it wasn't proposed. Like, I didn't know it was. And sometimes units are on the ground, so they're not on the roof, and therefore you wouldn't even be talking about it.
Okay.
But now they are being proposed for the roof, so we would like to see, how they're going to screen them from view, either from a parapet wall or a guardrail or some kind of a device to screen the view.
Thank you.
Robert, can you put those two pictures back up that showed the unit and then the one behind it that showed the
the rail?
Okay, we have those pictures put up? Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so it appears to me on the top one that the rail is not even close to covering the unit. Is that correct?
Right, yeah, right, that's correct. It's there primarily, I think it's for a codes issue. It's a safety issue. The units being so close to the edge of the roof, I think they're required to have some kind of a railing system to prevent somebody from falling off.
Okay, the other part that I'm really confused on, where we see the guardrail and the rail on the top picture, that's a different angle than the bottom?
Well, the top view is if you were looking from College Street onto the church.
Right, if you
The
were going
bottom one-
west on College Street, that's what you would see.
Yeah, if you're going west. Well, if you're on College Street looking
Looking west.
south. Looking
Wow.
south.
Okay. Looking southwest. Right
South.
towards this, sort of towards the square, but looking
Well, actually, you'd be looking to southeast.
straight south?
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
straight, yeah, pretty much straight south.
Okay.
Let me scoot down here. I got it. Here we go. This is a better picture. And this being College Street, and this being the addition. This
Okay.
is the flat roof. This is the flat part of the roof. So
Okay.
this is the
Where the
first picture we
unit's
looked
at.
at was from the view of East College Street looking south.
Okay. So why is there guardrail on the looking east side?
On the east side,
Well, you show rail all along this east.
that's the east side, yeah. You can see it from East College Street.
Yeah, the lower picture.
All right, all right. Now this is from the east side of the church.
Right.
You'd be in JR and Junior's parking lot.
So
looking
why
at
is there why is there rail there when there's no equipment there?
Well, let's see. And I don't know if there's equipment back here. These are mechanical units that they're pointing at. You can barely see them. Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a flat roof area that I believe it has 2 units on it.
So, but that pitch of the roof is not flat, is it? Where it hits the guardrail? I mean, it doesn't appear to be on the diagram.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right
it's
here.
there's a parapet
Flat
wall
area.
there.
Okay.
Is there a parapet that will actually hide the equipment from view?
There's a partial parapet. I'm not sure the exact height of it, but there is a partial parapet there. My understanding from Jim Lowen, who's the architect, is that due to the distance on the east side of the property next to Junior's, from there to the units, there was a short distance, and that was the reason for the guardrail. The reason why there's not a guardrail on the south side is due to the fact that the units can be placed 8 foot 4 inches away from that parapet wall, so the distance is much larger on that end.
So there's no guardrail right here now?
Now, that one is there. If you go back to the elevation above that, where you're looking at the parking lot elevation,
Okay.
there's not a rail going back toward the building due to the 8 foot 4 dimension away, the unit sets away from the parapet wall.
Are there mechanical units on either side of the gable here?
Yes, they are.
There are, okay.
Yes.
And they're just not shown on this front part?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
I would have to double check that with the mechanical drawings. I'm not quite sure. I know there's some mechanical up there, but there's also 2 levels of that flat roof.
How tall are the air handling units?
Jim's got them shown on there. I think the tallest one is a little over 40 inches tall.
And how high is the guardrail?
The guardrail, I think he's got it shown at 3'6". So you probably got a 16-inch parapet, something like that in there, would be my guess. I don't have the section through there.
And the distance away from the edge of the roof, Do you know how far that is?
On Junior side, it's approximately about 3 to 3.5 feet to the
Okay.
units. From the parking lot side going north, it's about 8 foot, 8'4", I believe is what he said.
Okay, so they're farther back here. So the parapet is approximately, you said 30 inches?
I would have to double check.
Okay.
I think it's somewhere, the handrail he's showing on here is 3'6".
Okay.
And then there's a parapet below that. I'm just not sure of that distance.
Okay.
And keep in mind, if y'all would, that elevation that you're seeing from the south,
Which one is that?
the one on the top, that unit is shown in direct plane, but it is actually 8'4" back away from that wall. And the elevation from the street there's quite a change from the street to that building. I'm not even sure that unit would even be seen because of the elevation change from the street to the building, and then with the unit being set 8'4" back away from that wall.
I don't know if I'm missing something, but why aren't the parapets shown on the diagram if they're there?
They are there. You're seeing the brick of the face of the parapet. That rail is sitting on top of the parapet.
Oh,
Okay.
see, there's no mechanical units on here.
Yeah, if you look at it's hard to see it, but on the bottom elevation, on the junior food side elevation, it's showing that handrail or that guardrail at 2'2", I believe it is. Over there where all the roofing is, and he's showing the units to the right there. Yeah, if you'll move over go toward the parking lot. It's hard to see the dimension, but it's right there at the end of that screen. It's like 2'2" or 2'4" on top of the parapet wall is
Yeah, the
the
roof.
handrail.
Term,
I don't see it.
Come over to the left.
It's really
Right to the
difficult
left
to
of the
see.
screen.
Right, but I don't see anything that says that it's 2'2" or anything.
It's on there. It's just very difficult to see because of the shading of the roofing on there.
This is not on there.
oh, right here, I see.
It's very difficult to
Yeah,
see. it
2
in there.
foot. I don't think they put it on this
It's not on
earlier
there.
version. No, this is,
Oh, no wonder I can't see it.
yeah. That says,
I know my sight's not very good, but
I can't read it, but I think it's around 2 foot.
here it is. It's, if you can see the screen, right where I'm circling, right here it says 2'10". I think it's 2'10" right in here. I might be able to get a little bit bigger too. Yeah, this is the very end. 3'6", is that the top of the railing?
I think what he's saying there, the 3'6", is to the bottom of the coping right there.
Okay.
And 2'10" would be the railing above the parapet, apparently.
That's correct.
8 inches. 8 inches? Is that 8 inches the roof parapet?
I don't know what that is.
It says right here.
Guess that would add up. 2'10" plus 8 should be 3'6".
Mm-hmm.
And so the railing is a see-through railing, so you'll be able to see the equipment through the railing?
That's my understanding. It's a split rail, yes. Open rail.
I think that original parapet should have been designed so that it shielded the equipment. And of course, we don't have any perspective here. We're looking straight on as if we're 20
Correct.
foot up in the air, looking straight ahead.
Correct.
But I don't recall any discussion about it, but it would be unusual, I think, for us to be, or for planning commissioner, if the planning, to be looking at a building that has exposed equipment on top of the roof. We usually require that to be screened with a parapet. And I would think, especially in the historic, that we would require that. And I would think that if you're up on a lift, you might see the equipment looking straight through, but from a normal ground level or from 5 to 6 foot eye level, you shouldn't see any equipment, but you will now see these railings sticking up above the parapet.
Right.
Is what should be seen.
We would love not to have the railings.
Yeah.
Well, that's a code issue, is it
But
not?
apparently that's a building codes issue. If the equipment is within a certain distance from the edge, you've got to have a certain height, and the 8-inch parapet or whatever it is, 10-inch, 2-foot parapet, whatever it is, isn't enough for that safety issue.
And the roof, looks like the parapet starts 26 feet up from the ground.
Yes, that's what it appears.
Yeah. So it's hard to get a good perspective because it's on the second floor, and it's 26 feet and probably even more than that because at the bottom of this railing here. So I'm not sure what a short parapet wall might do. Might help. Something taller than.
Well, I'm guessing they've got to get up to a total of that 3'6" that they're showing here by code. So that means
That's it. Was any thought given to making the rail enclosed so that you couldn't look right through it to the equipment?
or just extending the parapet wall up.
My concern with, this is from the owner's perspective, not the designer's perspective, but my concern is taking that, if you were to take that parapet wall up to the height of the 3'6", I think it would mess with the aesthetics of that elevation on that end, because you can't do that on the opposite side. And I'm not sure, Mr. Becker, I'm not sure if there's been any thought put into other than just a split rail up there to meet the code.
Did it say in here what the railing is going to be made out of? Colors and that sort of thing? And
My understanding
steel?
is it's just a typical steel handrail, split handrail, two-line rail,
It's metal, I think.
painted, of course, whatever color would
fit with the...
fit with the probably the color of the coping of the parapet wall.
Don't have anything on that end down there, 'cause it's not. No, it's got this and this. One of those. Stone banding.
Mr. Becker, I'm
Yes, sir.
afraid if we do something other than a two-line rail, that we put some sort of mesh or something on it, I'm afraid it may draw more attention to it that way than it would be with just a two-line up there.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, I agree that the split rail in itself would probably, if it has to be there, would look better than a solid, but now we've got the equipment that is protruding above the parapet and the rail, correct? So we'll see the equipment sticking up over it. I guess if we're going to see it, it wouldn't make much difference seeing it through the rail, or because the rail, unless you went quite a bit higher, you're not going to hide all of it. And Mr. Wade was pointing out on the current building, I think it's going to be torn down. There is a big unit on the roof of that.
That is correct.
And that doesn't have rails.
That does not.
Okay.
Anybody else have any
Can we see
questions?
the photographs I got on our screen so we can show a perspective from, this is a view from Junior's parking lot on the current building. And this is on the first floor.
Yeah, well, the new building's much higher than that, where the equipment's going to be, so you probably wouldn't see it as well as you see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be a good chance that there wouldn't be much of it seen anyway. But
And this is from the church, or this is from the college side, College Street.
Yeah, you're not going to see that existing sloped roof at all with the new building up.
Wow.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no objections, I make the motion that we approve with the railings.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the plans with the railings as presented to the commission. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Becker seconds. Is there any additional discussion? There being none, all in favor of the motion to proceed with the project as designed with the rail, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. And the motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Mr. Lewis, are there any items of information or anything else that we need to discuss today?
Well, at the June meeting, if we have a June meeting, we'll be electing officers. And I wanted to let you know so we can include that in our minutes so y'all have an official notification that be ready for the election of officers in June,
If we have a meeting.
if we have a meeting.
And how do we propose to nominate those officers?
We'll just do that at the meeting.
Okay. Should make for an interesting meeting. Is there anything else that we need to discuss, or if not, we will stand adjourned.